Hello, 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 and welcome back. It's Thursday, the 17th of August, and you join us on A-level results day, a massive day for a lot of people across the country today. And it's an incredibly busy time for university admission teams as well. So much so that many of you are not going to be able to join us today. Not to worry though, we are recording this. You will be able to catch up later. But how much could AI streamline that whole admissions process? And how about other steps along the student journey? We unpick today the AI hype from the reality on the Digital Lounge. As I say, an incredibly busy day today for our customers, but actually also for our own teams as well. And joining me today, we've got Ollie Sinclair again. Welcome back, Ollie. You're not it's not the first time to the show, but it is certainly the first time for our CIO at Crimson, Tom Cadman. I know a lot of our customers are really excited to hear what Tom has to share today as well. Tom, I know that, as I say, really busy time for our customers today. You may not be able to join us for the whole of this call. Hopefully you can, but we appreciate, anything could crop up today.
Yeah,
First of all, congratulations to you both. I know that we've recently won the Public Sector Alliance Award for Best Student Experience Solution. So you must be both really pleased about the outcome of that. Was that to do with University of Salford? Was it?
it was very much
Yeah.
so, Mark, in terms of the digital engagement we run with them and their emissions systems and processing, etc. And obviously now going forward with Salford in terms of their student experience and wellbeing.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, a great celebratory night as well. I know, Ollie, you were actually there in London to pick up the award and take the glory. So congratulations. This is actually our first show where we've got an invited audience as well. And for those that have signed up, you can leave your questions and comments in the chat. We'll try and address those as we run through the show today. So I suppose the first question, AI, there's an awful lot going on about AI. It's all over the news. There's an awful lot of hype, and some of it, I'm sure, there's a basis for that. But let's just take a step back. And Ollie, if I can come to you first of all, what do we mean about when we talk about AI, and what are the kind of how can we sort of get our head around this and categorize it?
Sure. No, it's a good question because there's a lot that's happened very very recently, which has brought on the next sort of conversation of AI. But AI has been around for a long time. Kind of the concept was back in the sort of the mid 50s, really, where they were trying to find a way to exceed or create at least human intelligence. And then in the mid 90s again, a launch forward for machine learning happened, where they would learn from existing data and try to improve on that data decision making. Then sort of earlier on into about 5 or 6, maybe 7 years ago, there was deep learning, where that's a technique where you use layers of neural networks that are used to process data. And then really what's caught this next wave is back in 2021, generative AI actually became a thing. Now, in terms of AI, what are the different types of things that AI can do? Well, you've got things like speech to text, text to speech. You've got language, where you do language and textual recognition. You've got vision, so computer vision or custom visions, and decisions as well. So, understanding or detecting anomalies, content moderation, those sort of things around decision. And the big one with generative AI is all the things that you can do to generate content. So that would be content with images or content with text. So that's generally speaking, the evolution of AI, and obviously the open AI service with Microsoft has relaunched AI into the spotlight again, with some very very interesting services and offerings.
Fantastic. And I know Crimson signed the Microsoft Partner Pledge a number of years ago, and part of that was to do with ethical standards around AI. A massive topic that we probably don't have time to go into today. But Tom, if I could come to you around security and privacy concerns,
Mhm.
you know, we can all log into OpenAI at the moment and ask it to answer a question. There are some questions around how's that data being gathered, etc., etc. For a big organization like a university, how do we address some of those concerns around security?
Well, there's two things there, Mark. Obviously, if you turn on OpenAI and the features that Microsoft provide against your own private data sets, and that's the key thing, it's your own private data sets that you're making available, they stay within your environments. They're not being serviced externally. They're in your, whether it's evidential documents that you are checking in terms of missions coming in, whether you're doing things like decision automation, it's basically looking at your own localized data sets and you're bringing that into the capabilities. So those large language models that we're talking about are basically mining that data in your world. It doesn't go outside of that. It doesn't surface it out into obviously the public domain. It's making it available only to your own internal use sets. Obviously, that means you've got to set up those data sets in the first place, make sure they're being searched, etc. So this is very analogous to if people are using SharePoint today, for example, then obviously you're setting SharePoint to search against your SharePoint data sets and internal data source. But it's very much that managing the privacy and the security in that way. So it's not a free for all. Obviously, you have if you go out into if you see, you can turn on today with Bing, you can go into ChatGPT integration. That is searching the Bing data set that are obviously publicly available. So there are two formats here that you've got to be obviously wary of. There's a setup you need to manage within your own environments, etc. And that privacy then obviously rests very much in that side. Equally, you need to make sure obviously what type of data, obviously surfacing out student data, applicant data, normal security policies, GDPR considerations, etc. You need to apply as well. Yeah.
So a lot of talk there about data, and of course, rubbish in, rubbish out. No doubt that's the same for trying to train these AI models. What kind of things should universities be thinking about in terms of their own data sets at the moment to get themselves ready to take advantage of some of this?
Where we take on board things like deflection strategies on things like customer service, or whether it's inquiries coming in, then it's obviously understanding your knowledge base articles. It's going through you're building those knowledge base articles, you're policing them, you're managing them. It's that data stewardship and governance that you need to put around those models and make sure you are checking the quality of those articles that obviously the search engines are then referencing, making that available. There's still that quality management. In terms of that side, what you're doing is almost surfacing out a new way to search for those articles and presenting it back. So that data governance and stewardship is still paramount within any organization, and putting those processes in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on our last show, we had Martin Gallagher on talking about Microsoft Copilot. So some exciting news there from Microsoft that's coming down the line. But there has been a lot of confusion and concern from the education community about education licenses, because Microsoft have not they have not mentioned anything about this. So a bit of concern there, but I understand you've got some fairly hot news off the press on that.
Yeah, so yesterday we had a call with the US teams on higher education, and it is coming. It's more of a commercial play. So the academic licensing scheme, obviously the A plans, etc. So they are basically just working that through so they can make those Copilot features. And what we're talking about here is Copilot features that are in Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, making those available to the academic plans as well. It's just trying to work it through in terms of I think it's more of a commercial play, to be honest, rather than a technology play.
Okay,
Obviously
good. That's reassuring, I'm sure, for many that will be watching today. So if I may come to you, Ollie, but Tom, feel free to chip in on this one. We always like to talk about the people element. As a business, we're about bringing people and technology together. I would imagine there are going to be some different skills needed in universities to manage this AI journey. Is there anything that either of you are seeing at the moment around that in terms of skill sets, or something that universities need to be ready for? And I know we've mentioned previously about Paragon, and I don't know necessarily where that might fit in, but have you got any views on that, Ollie?
Yeah, I think so. That there is going to be, very, very quickly, a skill set that's going to be in huge demand. Specifically, when we look about open AI, generative AI, and being able to utilize, these co-pilot types ways of working. One of the things that seems to be cropping up time and time again is prompt engineering. Now, prompt engineering is a way of being able to surface to a large language model exactly what you're trying to get out of it. So, for example, if you were to go to a large language model and just, complete blank search and enter in some information, without any guidelines or ways in which the large language model needs to be used, you can get back some pretty spurious results and pretty confusing results, to the co-pilot or to whatever you're trying to do. So prompt engineering is a way of being able to marshal and control the use of those large language model. Now, back to Tom's point in terms of locking down security and making sure that you're referencing the right content. This prompt engineering part is where you can start to manage that and really guide the large language model responses, of what you're getting back of that, to be appropriate for what type of service you're offering, whether that would be, generating some text or generating some piece of information, based on a student query, or based on a knowledge-based search. Say, for example, your knowledge base was massive, it was huge. You had that connected to a large language model. Well, actually, the prompt engineering side would then tailor some of those responses, maybe do a bit of cognitive search to find out articles within your knowledge base that are appropriate for answering that, and say, only give me a response using these artifacts, using the large language model as to generate the natural language part. So there really will be a big skill set that universities and organizations will need to look at, within their IT team.
Okay, interesting stuff. Well, just on that, we have the digital leadership report from Crimson, are part of Nash Squared, so a global people, talent and technology company. And for the last 25 years, they've been running a survey for digital leaders across the world. It used to be called the CIO survey. This year, there's a massive emphasis on AI in terms of priorities, attitudes, and progress across a lot of industries. I'd encourage you to complete the survey if you are one of those digital leaders. For those of you, it's the link is on the screen at the moment. For those of you that might be listening to this on the podcast, it's a bit.ly link, so bit.ly /DLR 2023. That's /DLR 2023. That survey remains open just for a couple more weeks. So get your results, submit the survey entry, and you'll be the first to see the results of that, which will be shared later in the year around November time. So just a quick plug on that. Okay, let's get into the meat of this then. So we've talked about skills, we've talked about some of the security. Let's have a look at some of the use cases, thinking about, what can a university do today? What might they be able to do in a few years' time? And then let's do a little bit of blue sky thinking, because we know that this stuff is accelerating, and I think some have said by 2030 it's going to be matching that kind of human intelligence, which, given what you see on the news, shouldn't be too difficult. But so, Tom, shall I bring up that slide that you prepared? With that would be useful. And again, some people are going to be listening to this on audio, so we'll try and talk this through as well. So, looking at some of the sort of shorter, quick wins that you think universities could be looking at today.
Yeah, so in no particular order, Mark, we obviously, if you think about the sort of applicant experience at the front end, trying to attract and nurture the right applicants, prospective students coming into a university. There's already some sites out there already using AI to help you in terms of finding your university or your course. So that's even before you get to talking to the individual universities. And I think we'll put the link in the chat in terms of where they're using that and that capability. If I go down very quickly, just reading through the things, marketing is by far, you're trying to attract and nurture those particular applicants in. Microsoft Marketing has already brought in some of the AI features where you can potentially suggest in terms of different topics and articles. But guess what? You can now get into sort of heavily personalization of your not just sending out bland emails. For example, if you've got an applicant who's received an offer from a university, why can you not go in and personalize that content and make it more attractive in terms of maybe pulling out facets about what they put in the personal statement, hobbies, interests? How can you promote those other activities going on in the university and drive them to your university rather than, guess what, our competitors? There's a lot of in that sort of personalized content experience, driving that nurture out. Inquiry management, deflection strategies. Obviously, Microsoft have got in their armory virtual agent web chat, but they're extending that out now to do more intelligence around the knowledge base articles and looking at other articles or other related cases that might be help you to self-serve and let them go in and support those inquiries out issues before they even come in and take the burden away from your inquiry teams and missions teams. Funds and grants, obviously on the research side, proposal generations. How can you help use co-pilot feature to help you build your proposals, documents? We use that today in Crimson for when we're doing proposals ourselves. How do we bring that data together and bring out some of those boilerplates and snippets in terms of that information? We go into things like, obviously, we already know in terms of plagiarism checks are already in there today with things like personal statements, things like checking courses. That's going to be extended. How are you going to defend against when an applicant or a student has used OpenAI in the first place to build their personal statement? So you're looking at AI to defend against AI. And so examples in that scenario. Ollie talked about cognitive services. How can I use AI to help me in terms of managing documents coming in, evidential checks? Obviously, passports, is checking passports and validating a passport against the image, and you take a camera image of the person who's applying, and you can do a cross check very quickly. The person you're talking to, who's on the portal or on your phone app or whatever, can use that to validate the passport submission. So you're doing some things like if you talk international applicants doing some of their applying in, you're checking their fee status, etc. The other one is taking it down to the next level about things like documents. How can I take the documents, transcripts, certificates, maybe it's their language certificates. How can I validate the actual documents that they're uploading by scanning the document, training the models around that data? Could I even use it for doing things like fraud checks? Am I dealing with fraudulent certificates or transcripts? All of that capability, and this has been around, Microsoft had this cognitive capability, it's been around for 3-4 years. Obviously, the challenge there is training all of those models versus all of the myriad and versions of transcripts and certificates that are out there across various countries of the world, etc. Decision automation is an interesting one. We're already doing this in a very lightweight now with Newcastle, where we're looking to basically manage decisions coming in, and can we start to do some sort of pre-filtering on automation around dare I say, red, amber, green against the applicant based on the course, based on maybe their grade scores or the institution where they're attending. Can you use that capability to basically either, maybe do a soft sort of reject versus logic in terms of automatic applying conditions to offers? We've all just come through. Anybody's on the missions from recording to this, obviously the last week you've all been busy doing your undergrad confirmation offers. How can I automate those confirmation offers? I know what conditions I put out. Can I then look at it in the context of, I know what results they've got. How do I then filter that? And again, take the burden away from admissions and basically let the system do the grunt work through AI. And then you've basically faced with your amber list, as I call it, where you need to go in and look at the near misses, etc. So again, confirmations is very in that other side of decision automation. Academic planning, Copilot, helping how you use your academic colleagues in terms of preparing course material, looking at how you manage all of those areas. Upsell, cross-sell. So you've got, if you've got applicants coming in with maybe there's alternative courses you could suggest up front, or you could be saying that this applicant has got a language score that is particularly, they may need a pre-sessional English course. Can you help out in some of those upsell, cross-sell suggestions? And you're offering an alternative experience. It's very much a shopping basket play. Amazon do it today. If you go and play with the Amazon shop, it will come back and he's always continually shopping. And so saying, watching and what you're doing, your behavior, maybe how can you bring that sort of capability into the things? Yeah. We go into learning, obviously now in terms of how learning and where we're going into what the experience is for students who are actually attending university. Then obviously we've been through the COVID years, distance learning, etc. But we're now looking at things like augmented reality, learning capabilities, where you can do sort of working with your training programs, your courses and modules, etc.
Tom, do you think that's more of a long-term play? That just seems a little bit sort of out there for me. I'm not clear at the moment on this list. What is a quick win now versus what is going to be possible later?
Well, if I look at some of this, Mark, quick wins very much deflection by far. Inquiry management deflection coming in, not just in HE, we do this as customer service across a lot of our sectors. How can I deflect and put the onus back in the person who can self-serve and help themselves in terms of these inquiries and reduce the number of inquiries? Prospectus requests and things of that coming in and whatever. You can automate a lot of those processes. I think those already there, quick wins. Next best action, which was on the case management side. Well, what am I suggesting in the next best action? Those again are there. The capabilities are there in that side. Reminder management with what's already on the list. These are quick wins. Some of these capability isn't necessarily, I know we talk about AI in the context, but decision automation. I used to work for an internet bank, Egg, if anyone can remember it, and we were doing that back in the 90s. We were doing decision automation on applying for loans, applying for mortgages, applying for everything. This is a digital experience. These sort of things are there. There's an element of people reinventing, and AI is an element of bringing forward in different models and different ways of working. But some of these features have, as I said, been around for years. It's just working how you apply it into your industry, in this case, obviously into universities. Yeah. The other one that's on the list, Mark, which is the more interesting one, is in the Power Platform arena. You can now, Microsoft are building reference models, accelerator models, that you can go and ask it to build an app. So we did that for one of our property clients. We asked it to build an inspection app. It went away, found a reference model, built it, and basically built a skeleton app for us that was then available for mobile devices and into the browser, etc. And then we could use it as a skeleton to go forward. You can see a lot of all that coming into the play now with app building. Obviously, Microsoft have already done it low level with things like GitHub, and you can use it, go and search for reference code. I know my son's in fact, just done his A-levels, got his A-level results this morning. As part of his A-level research, he actually got it to build a website for him for one of these. He got AI to go and build a website, and then he critiqued it. This capability is becoming more and more prevalent in terms of what we do.
Fantastic. I've just got to ask you, how did your son do in his A-levels? Was it okay?
Well, at this point in time, because he didn't apply to go to university, I'm now encouraging to go onto the clearing hotlines, and he doesn't want to go, unfortunately. But I'm trying to say, go and have a look around the clearing. He's got his, I think he got an A star AA, so I think he's more than got the grades. So he needs to go and. So anybody's got any on the call who wants to come back and he wants him to do business and business studies, yeah. And avoid the bank. Well, still banker dad will still be paying for him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, that's a brilliant overview, and it looks like there are some quick wins there. Ollie, I mean, just turning to you. Do you think we're losing the human touch with all of this, or does this free us up to be able to have more of a human touch, if you like?
I think absolutely the latter. I think if you think about this, what you're trying to achieve with AI is having that expert on your shoulder, being able to give you the information that usually takes you a long time to pull together. In terms of the ability for students to be able to have that interaction with members of staff and people at university is going to increase if you're getting rid of the mundane elements of people's jobs, and opening up to be able to to be able to access these students. So for me, this is an absolute winner in both contexts. The students will get a better service, and the university and the organization will be able to spend more time with their students on the things that are important. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Ollie, well, maybe a question to both of you. So if a university is exploring AI at the moment, has questions around it, they don't know where to start, there's a long wish list there that we've just shared, and they're trying to work out
Yep.
the priorities. What should they do? How can we help with working out that priority?
Yeah, so as a part of Crimson Consultancy, we've got a number of service lines that we like to offer universities at the investigation stage of what AI means for them, and we offer one of those elements, which is Art of the Possible sessions. So we can actually go on to a university and say, give us some narratives about what you're thinking, and we can apply the technology and our experience of implementing this with other universities about where to get started, what to look at, the gotchas of these types of technologies, and how to approach this correctly. There's lots of services on our website that you'll see, Art the Possibles and consultancy, but also I'm really passionate about the people side as well. So within Paragon Services, there are certain offerings that we do around sort of self-sufficiency. One of those things is looking at that target operating model and finding out, if there are, things like the prompt engineering we talked about, are there roles that actually you want to be thinking about having a look at your own internal staff and seeing if there's any upskills or anybody you want to bring along. So yeah, lots of things to think about.
Fantastic.
Very much so. And equally, Mark, we do have some of these sort of things as accelerators where we can actually potentially show some of the, not just talk around it, it's showing it, but also showing in a practical context, like the examples we've given. And obviously, as Microsoft invariably are bringing out more and more of these features, as you're seeing over the next, well, they're already bringing them out now behind the scenes, but obviously, invariably, more and more will come out over the journey points. Yeah, I think equally, it's about applying that, dare we say, real life scenarios and practicalities, but it's also recognizing, I'm a great believer in the technology, the easy bit. This is about the change and adoption aspect of it. How is it applying real world and bringing your business users and alongside it's your IT's enabler, and some of these capabilities are actually there for the business to be using as much as the IT stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Gents, thank you so much for your time today. I know, as you say, it's a really busy day for our customers. You haven't been called out, so things seem to be running smoothly, maybe? Or...
well, they're going through, I think...
ignoring the phone calls.
I know we've had a few glitches, probably more on the UCAS side this morning, where we're punching out to UCAS to do some validation on clearing issues, but that's nothing towards. But yeah, it's all going well at the moment, fingers crossed. And obviously, for those people here on the call on the emissions or watching this recorded, obviously, I'm sure you'll all deserve a welcome break after doing all the results last week, and then obviously into clearing this week, and hopefully a bit of calmness before registration starts in September and on into students turning up, and you then starting the next year of academic cycle and the next wave of applicants. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there for today. Ollie, Tom, thank you very much for your time. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you.
No problem. Cheers all. Bye.
Cheers.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, there we have it. So that's AI use cases in higher education. And just a quick reminder, there is the Digital Leadership Report. The survey closes the 15th of September. And if you want to get involved with that and put forward your own perspective with the survey, that's at bit.ly bit.ly, that is bit.ly/DLR 2023. Don't forget you can join the higher education community on our LinkedIn page. Just search for Crimson University and you can join many of your peers over there. And finally, if any of this has resonated with you today, then the first step would be a discovery call, just a 15-minute call with one of our consultants to understand your own situation. And sometimes there is Microsoft proof of concept funding as well, so we can look into that for you too. Next show is on Thursday the 31st of August at 10 a.m. again, and that will be around growing tomorrow's tech talent. We're going to be talking about apprenticeship programs, some of the learnings that we've had from our own apprenticeship program. So if that's something you're looking to do at the moment, or you're looking to develop that further, then that should be a really interesting show for you to join. And as always, this is a live video podcast, but it is also available for you to check out later on audio across all of the popular podcast platforms such as Apple, Spotify, etc., etc. You can catch us on YouTube, and of course this can be replayed on LinkedIn as well. So we're everywhere. So again, thank you very much for joining today. We hope this has been of use. Please share feedback where you can. It's always useful to hear how we can improve things. But until that, we'll say goodbye until next time.